What is going on YouTube? David Hammond, beautiful Mother Nature. We're back in my car because we have the laptop. We're going to be reviewing my old photos. I said I'd be making this video back when I reviewed my old videos. So we're going to be giving 3 tips for 3 big beginner photo mistakes, okay? This is when I first started taking outdoor photos. I'm looking back, reviewing them. We're going to critique them and then give the 3 main tips to you guys, all right? So beware. These photos are from about a year and a half ago or so. So, you know, let's just get into it. Some are 2 years, and we're just gonna check them out, all right? So, first one, let's put it up on screen. All right. Obviously, guys, as you can see, it is way too saturated. Colors are all over the place. Horizon is wonky. You know, really not expecting too much. This is like when I first started taking photos. So we're gonna get straight with the first tip, or the first mistake, and that is having photos with just crazy colors. The colors are too crazy, guys. What I mean by this is they're really just that. Let's put up another photo here, right? But the same thing, the colors are too crazy. I mean, like, really the photos aren't too bad, but if you can see, it just looks very amateurish because the saturation's too pumped, and even without that, the hues and everything are very they're very tainted with. We'll put up another one here, right? You can see, like, the hues are different. You know, I'm changing the blues and the oranges. It's very saturated. I mean, look at the horizon on this one. This is just horrible, right? And there's one thing with having photos too saturated that just kind of screams amateurish. I kind of put that in past tutorials. It just looks like you're giving a photo something that doesn't belong there. It looks like you're trying to compensate and make a photo better when the photo itself just isn't that good by adding things that don't belong there, right? I feel like by relying solely on colors, and again, this is controversial, you know, this is just like what I think, but I think by relying solely on colors to tell your story, by changing the hues and the saturation and everything, you kind of neglect more important things like composition or actual story of the photo. So for that reason, I wouldn't try to rely solely on color or manipulating hues or changing saturation just in crazy ways that you can see in these photos, okay? So let's get to the second mistake and then tip, all right? So, about a year ago, just over a year ago here, a year and a half ago. So again, like, you know, it's not even that bad of a photo. Like, composition, you know, I think we're getting better at this point. It's just the crushed blacks, guys, again, are just way too faded, way too faded. Pull up another one, right? Now, it may not look too bad when you're looking at it just the one photo, but again, like I spoke of in past tutorials, not only does crushing your blacks after a while, give your grid just this very low contrast, you know, faded look, but like too extreme of a faded look, which honestly ruins the grid. Like, that's what I found with myself on Instagram. Guys, another big thing too is, although with crushing the blacks, you know, our attempt is to give it like a nice moody feel, which it was for me too, I feel like by relying on crushing the blacks too much, this is what happened to me. We begin to get into a pattern where we crush blacks on photos that should not really have crushed blacks. So maybe as an example, a strong sunset, a strong, beautiful, very vibrant sunset. Naturally, when looking at the sunset with your eyes, the photo, like, through your eyes, there are no crushed blacks. It's a very high contrast, very punchy image. But adding these crushed blacks over time kind of, again, ruins the image by giving an artistic look that may be cool now, but it's not timeless. And I know I may sound old by saying, you know, go for the timeless look, but really, guys, it's what I found myself. Timeless any day over artistic, or just right now, just what's trendy right now. Timeless over trendy any day. And the third big mistake, guys, is, let's pull up these photos. So this was maybe about 8 months ago. This is the winter, so 8 to 7 months ago, and that is no story, okay? So like the video in that other tutorial I made with this no story, photo's a bit similar, okay? So of course it's just the one picture. So what do you mean story in one picture? That literally means, like, what are you trying to convey? So if I pull up this photo here, although the lighting, you know, is nice, the contrast, you can notice I'm not adding crazy saturation and vibrance at this point, nor am I adding these crazy crushed blacks. So I am learning, you know, I am keeping more of that timeless look, but there's no story. It's like, what am I trying to convey here? With this one shot, what am I trying to show? What I see are trees and snow, which is great. Okay, cool. It's like a winter shot, I guess. But what is it? Beside it being a winter shot, what is it? I'm looking at a tree here, and then I'm looking at a fallen tree, and then a little bit of a pit. There's just no story. It just doesn't really make sense, you know? Let's pull up another example here, right? Again, with this one, more of a timeless look, but, you know, there really is not too much of a story here. There's potential, right? There's a nice river with a fallen tree, but it's just, you're kind of confused with what you're looking at. There's no story, there's too many focal points. Like, what are you trying to convey? So it's confusing to the eyes. You know, what might have been nice here, excuse me, and why I said it had potential was because maybe if I put a person walking along the shoreline there, that, and maybe with that person, you know, conveying sort of a moody feeling, maybe with his head down, with like a jacket over his head, you know, a hood, that could convey a story or an image of moody, you know, this guy's on an adventure, maybe he's kind of sad, he's lonely, he's an outcast. That's an adventure, you know what I mean? You know, I'm now gonna put up a few photos now that I've taken, you know, just like a week or two ago, you know, just as perspective, right? So here's one of Alan, right, that I'm looking at. Kind of like what we did before, a nice overcast, moody day, timeless look, but I have that person, I have that subject that's conveying that story. I'm having Alan walking, his head's kind of down, he's alone, he looks like he's isolated. This gives off the whole vibe of just like an isolated look, like almost like a lone wolf look, you know what I mean? Which to me is very attractive. Let's pull up another example right here. So here's another example. This was at Tobermory with Adri. So you see her walking up the staircase, beautiful golden sun rays, you know, a nice like dock behind her, kind of just showing off the vibe of like she's like at Tobermory, she's at a place, she's just chilling, she's hanging out. It's like beautiful scenery, nice relaxing summer day, you know what I mean? So that's kind of it, guys. As the sunset's cutting low, I don't have too much time, but I just want to make this video to hopefully give you guys those 3 tips on things that I screwed up on. So again, let's go over it quick. The first thing, guys, is just too much color, too much saturation, really just manipulating the colors too much, which in the beginning can look cool because it can kind of deceive your audience into making ugly places look cool. So to an extent, you know, do it. Like, I still to this day will like boost up saturation at times or whatnot. But I don't recommend you take it to a level where you rely on color fully to tell your story, because now you're almost neglecting other things like composition and story, you know what I mean? Personally, like, I think the timeless look, keeping the colors almost as true as you possibly can, keep it there. Like, if I wanted that beachy look, like I'll put up that photo, if I wanted that, why didn't I just come when it naturally looked more like that, when the sun was out, when the water was clear? Why didn't I go somewhere like that? You know, keeping it raw and authentic to that image, because eventually, you know, faking images down the road, it'll catch up to you. Like, that's just my opinion. The second thing, guys, is the crushed blacks, okay? With this, again, when you're giving things too much of a trendy look, not only is it going to kill your grid because everything is just too faded, it's too flat, it's starting to look, giving all your images a very faded look, is starting to give off a vibe that is just artificial, because there's some photos, some places that do not have any faded blacks at all. It's not an overcast day, it's a bright, punchy day, and by giving it a faded look, it's almost just ruining that authenticity. Again, it's all going back to keeping it timeless and authentic, you know, just my opinion. Now, and the third thing, guys, is story, okay? Except for this time, photo. That being, what is your subject? What are you trying to convey? Whether that's a human element, doesn't have to be a human element. It can literally be a tree, but like, you have to be able to like pinpoint, what am I trying to convey? What's my story? What's my subject? What do I want the audience to look at immediately, opposed to like hunt around and just be kind of confused because there's no story, you know? So those are 3 things now that I always look out for, guys. I hope that helped. I know it was a bit confusing and all over the place, this video, but you know, it's so hard to explain how to do something with anything creative, because there's no one way to do it. You know, these are just opinions. So I want you know, don't take that to heart. Like, take it with a grain of salt, because really, it's limitless, man. How you choose to take photos and videos is whatever you think looks best. This is just what I think looks best, and what I won't be making, you know, anymore. Okay, so that's it, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you guys are new here, my name's David. I do videos all on the outdoors, photography, and videography, and would love to have you as a part of the fam. All right, so give this video a like if you guys digged it, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks again, much love, peace. Right as the sun is just about to set. Later, guys.